I'm Kimberly Wilson of Tranquility Du Jour, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our kickoff of our free 7-day detox that launches tomorrow. And what I wanted to do is go over and just share, okay, what will we be eating? What are some of the tips to make it happen? Why detox? What are the benefits? And I love to share this too because I am not much in the kitchen. And so what I'm going to share with you are all simple, easy ways to work with this without having to become a gourmet cook or know tons about nutrition, etc. So I am a vegan lifestyle coach trained through Main Street Vegan, and I've done probably about 6 detoxes in the course of my life, really just over the past few years. I typically fail at some point during it, but I did successfully complete one once. And what I mean by that is I want to just tell you that, you know what, if you do one day of the detox, I'm so proud of you. Because really what it is, it's about becoming more aware of what we're putting into our bodies and how it makes us feel. So I will definitely say, since I've gone vegan, so I'm full vegan, but since I've gone vegan, just, vegans can eat Oreos, okay? So just because you're vegan doesn't mean that you're eating only plants. The ideal would be to only eat plants and maybe an occasional Oreo. But the idea behind it is okay, how do I feel after I put something in my body? And being somebody who loves sugar, I have to be really, really aware of this. And since going vegan, I just noticed I don't have that sick belly that I would often get after I ate. And so this is really a vegan, gluten-free kind of diet, plant-based, no processed, no fried foods, no coffee, no alcohol, no additional sugar that we'll be doing. And again, just so you know, if you go through this process with me and you get one day in and you're rocking it, and then you go to an event the second day and there's nothing for you to eat, I really want to encourage you to look at this as progress, not perfection, okay? So I like to just start that with everyone so you don't think oh my gosh, my life is over and I have to do everything I can today. Drink lots of coffee, drink lots of alcohol, eat tons of sugar in preparation for the detox. You don't. What we want to do is start weaning you off all of that. Okay, so I'm going to go through, and over here's my computer, so I'm just going to be looking at that for my notes, to go through, again, the basic outline. What are we doing? And if you have not checked out kimberlywilson.com/detox, you're going to find lots of PDFs and resources there for you that will be helpful as we go through this journey together. Also every day, so if you sign up by midnight tonight, every day from Saturday the 20th of October through the 26th, next Friday, I'll be sending you just a daily kind of check-in and a little love note and you got this, and support and recipes. So feel free to sign up for that. Again, it's free, and I offer these. This is my 3rd one this year, so we'll see what's going to happen in 2019, how these roll out, but I'm just absolutely delighted to be doing this with you here. So I'm also going to answer any questions. So if you are here live connecting and you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and Tim, who is helping me kind of pull this together, can relay those so that we can get those answered for you. Okay? And if possible, grab, a pen, grab a day book, a planner, notes, so that you can kind of capture some of this for yourself. And of course, always a cup of tea is a good idea. All right, so let's talk benefits, okay? Why in the world would we put ourselves through this? Okay, the big thing that I've noticed when I do this myself and when other people do it with me is a sense of awareness of I had no idea that I, every day at 3 o'clock, went to the vending machine or went to Starbucks and got some huge frappe, exciting concoction that's full of sugar. Right? And so it's just beginning to notice more of what we're drawn to and when and why. Maybe you get an upsetting email and then you reach for the sugar. Or again, maybe it's that afternoon lull and so you head on out and then you hit, someplace that you ideally wouldn't. Because what's really interesting is as the day goes on, our self-control lessens. So notice how in the morning you can be like a rock star, having your green smoothie, sipping your detox tea, maybe a yummy salad for lunch, but then by dinner time, it's all thrown out. And so what we want to do, especially in the detox, is try to make our breakfast and lunch quite easy so that in the evening we still have that self-control within us to keep going with this process. Okay, additional benefit is improved skin. So I have a lot of eczema. I have since I was a child. And what I notice is whenever I lay off the sugar, particularly in these detoxes, I do notice that the eczema decreases, right? So improved skin, and it's really interesting. If you see someone who transitions from eating meat or being a vegetarian to vegan, it's really interesting. You can see it in their face, the shift of, it's just like, it looks so much more youthful, and just the skin is so much clearer. At least that's been my experience of what I've noticed with people. Definitely less inflammation, right? So a benefit of kind of getting all these toxins out of the system, less inflammation. Feeling lighter, like I definitely found that, particularly when I transitioned to veganism, I lost probably 5 to 10 pounds and I wasn't even trying. But just not having that dairy, that cheese, there's yummy vegan cheese, just so you know, but not having that dairy made a huge, huge difference for me. And then also, you may be aware, but dairy does contribute to a lot of inflammation. So that's another piece that's really helpful about doing this particular diet. Increased energy. Now, initially you may feel a little bit of a lull because you're used to your coffee. You're used to things that, particularly sugar, right? That spikes the energy, but then it gives us a crash. So improved energy kind of over time. And then reduced craving, because the more we resist something, the more we're able to say no to it. And so it's hard initially, of course, but the more we build up that muscle, it's like, I'm no longer craving that like I used to. I no longer have to get that 3 p.m. frappe or whatever it is. And then also the data out there also says that we have lower stress levels. So, these are some of the benefits. These are some of the why in the world would I put myself through this? Okay, so what I want to do is talk about kind of what you do get to eat, and then also to show you some of the things. So this is pretty much like what I live on, with an occasional Oreo, must confess, or a vegan cupcake, but that will not be happening this week. And, and the great thing is again, for somebody who's not much in the kitchen, this is all quite simple stuff. And if you go to KimberlyWilson.com/detox, you can download a page that looks like this, Wellness Detox, and it gives you an idea of all the different things to do for your 7 days, what to include, what to eliminate. All right, so one of the big things, dark leafy greens. So here is kale. And kale is really yummy, and we'll be turning this into kale chips actually later today for tomorrow's virtual retreat. And because we have some ladies coming over that will be joining us in person, so we have a live studio audience for the online version. And so kale is really great. The wonderful thing about kale, A, it's a superfood, but B, you just toss it in olive oil, sprinkle some Montreal steak seasoning and nutritional yeast on it, bake it, 350 for about 15 minutes. Just kind of watch, and make sure that it's not burning, but that it is crisping. And then voila, you've got these amazing kale chips. Now, if you have a dehydrator, it's even better because then they're like crunchier. But it's great because you don't have to have all that stuff to make your kale chips. So also things like spinach are really, really good for your morning smoothie. So making sure you have lots of dark leafy greens, and these are my two kind of go-tos, right? Kale and spinach. Also, right, from a grain perspective, quinoa, brown rice, millet. So I wanted to show you the brown rice that I love. Here it is from Trader Joe's. Also, Safeway, believe it or not, has a P.F. Chang's version, and then you can get brown rice too. But these are wonderful because they're just little packets you toss in the microwave, and voila, you've got this yummy brown rice that is so good for you. And it's so tasty. And what I like to do is add to it, brag, liquid aminos. So yummy. So it's a all-purpose seasoning, a natural soy sauce alternative. It's really, really good. So what I'll do, for example, is a little bit of brown rice, some frozen veggies. I like the broccoli florets. And then add a little of this, and also a little bit of sesame seed. That can be a really nice addition. And I've got this amazing, yummy, filling meal. All right, so beans, legumes, and lentils. So I'm not a huge lentil fan. I know they're so good for you. I'm not a huge fan. I'm trying to get them to grow on me, but I do love me some black beans. As you see, we did a Trader Joe's run, but you can get this stuff at any grocery store. So black beans are really yummy and they're great sources of protein. And so one example of what I would do with this is take a wheat tortilla. Well, I guess actually, okay, this is what I would normally do. We can't do this on the detox because it's grains, but put this in, chop up some tomato, a little veganese, which is vegan mayonnaise, and then I've got this really yummy burrito. But what you can do with the black beans, since we're not doing the whole wheat flour or the whole wheat tortilla, is to heat this up and then eat it with some brown rice and some veggies. So black beans they're a great source of protein and they're very tasty, and of course you can season them however you'd like. Oftentimes I'll even buy them seasoned in the can. So another thing is unsalted, unroasted nuts and seeds, right? So we don't want them super processed, and that's what happens when we get the yummy wasabi flavored and coated almonds or things along those lines, right? So if you can get just naked, natural, I love naked, natural cashews. That's kind of my favorite. And then of course almonds are really yummy. And what I'll often do is just carry them in a little pouch in my purse, so that during the day when I get a little lull or I'm like a little hungry, then I will just grab that and I've got something that will satiate me on the spot. Because whenever we're getting hungry, that's when we have a tendency to not make the best decisions, right? Because we just want to satisfy that need. Okay, fruit, of course, you can't go wrong with fruit. So I love bananas because they're also really great for smoothies, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then avocado. So, fruits are a really good piece. Of course, apple, and I prefer Honeycrisp. So my boyfriend's always like, what's up with Honeycrisp? They're all fine, but Honeycrisp is the best. Pink ladies are really good too. And maybe I just like that name. But these are really yummy and quite filling. So making sure that you always have, something like that at the ready also, because it's nice to just have fresh things. And of course, vegetables, right? We want to have lots and lots of veggies, not just the leafy greens. So I, of course, have these yummy peppers, and these are great to slice up and then dip in hummus, so to make it really easy. Also tomatoes, I love tomatoes. I prefer them on the vine, and these are great. What we'll do is we'll slice them, put some olive oil on it, a little Montreal steak seasoning. What's funny, as a vegan, I love Montreal steak seasoning. It's all about that seasoning. They're, as I mentioned, really good on kale chips. And then I just eat them like that, sliced up, a little olive oil, Montreal steak seasoning. Then of course another thing is the yummy sweet potato. This time of year, so great, the root vegetable. So just slicing into that and getting it all nice and heated up in the oven, and because I like it a little crispy on the edge. And then you can put in all sorts of yummy things. I like chives in there. You could do even, what can be nice too, you could add a little bit of chili, organic vegetarian chili, so whatever would be tasty for you with this. And you could even do margarine, right? So, sometimes you would like that buttery flavor. So from the vegan perspective, you can do margarine. All right, of course, water. We want to drink lots and lots of water to flush the system. And then herbal tea. And one herbal tea that I wanted to mention, and there's tons out there, so it's not like you have to have this brand or really that you even have to have a detox tea. But this is traditional medicinals and everyday detox lemon. It's really good. It's a really yummy tea. And then also what I tend to do, because I like to have my morning hot water with lemon, and I have these little these little packets. These are great because I can tote them around, and it's basically a wedge of a lemon that is crystallized, nothing additional added, but it's nice and easy because you may not always have a lemon at the ready, or you may not have a lemon in your purse that you can kind of pull out and cut at the airport or at work. But these you can have, and I just get these on Amazon, True Lemon. They also have lime and grapefruit and orange. And then unsweetened non-dairy milk. So almond milk, and again, I prefer the unsweetened. There's no sugar added, but I don't really like the flavored ones, vanilla and things like that. So I tend to get just kind of like the original unsweetened, and it's so good. I use it for everything. So these are really great options, for maybe substituting what you're used to eating. And then of course, extra virgin olive oil. Okay, so what to eliminate, right? So I always like to talk about what do we add and then what do we eliminate. So gluten. So wheat, rye, barley, and that can be a really hard one for people. So you know what, I like to say, if you really feel like you need that, because sometimes I love bread. I like the heaviness of it, like baguettes. This morning I had avocado toast. You know, so what you can do though is get that sprouted grain bread, and even though it's not gluten-free, it's really good for you. So, and that's the Ezekiel brand that you can find in the frozen section of many grocery stores. So again, that's just if you're like, I have to have a little gluten during this. Well, then do what you need to do. But if you can do a little eliminating, then that's a wonderful thing to try, because a lot of people realize when they cut gluten out that they're actually quite sensitive to it and they feel better without it. So animal products, no animals, no fish, no eggs, no dairy, no meat. So cutting all of that out. Caffeine, so cutting that out. And alcohol and sodas. Cutting out additional sugar, so no added sugar. And then ideally no processed or fried foods. Okay, so that's pretty much the plan in a nutshell. Now I just want to give you some ideas on meal ideas. And I did mention quite a few as we went along, but I'll go and dive in a little bit further. And then we're also going to talk about the self-care pieces, which you'll see kind of laid out on that sheet that I mentioned. And then we'll kind of wrap it up with what are some of the great sources of protein, because sometimes people are like, I don't know what vegetarians eat or vegans eat, I need my protein. You can get so much protein from vegetables, from like nature, from plants. So I want to just mention the various things that are really high in protein to help alleviate that concern. All right, breakfast. Okay, so starting the day, green smoothie. And I recently did a green smoothie video that you can find at youtube.com/tranquilitydujour. And it's just a brief video, but showing, okay, what goes into my green smoothies. I love me a little chia seed. I do spinach, mainly spinach, a little dash of kale, frozen banana. You know those bananas when they go bad and you're like, I don't want to eat this? Then I peel it, break it, put it in a Ziploc bag that's, you know, good for the freezer, you know, where it won't get freezer burn, and I put it in the freezer. And then I've got that, which is really great in smoothies. I'll put in a little avocado. So of course we've got a little avocado right here. Avocados are like a wonder food. And then frozen fruit. And so then I blend it up. Oh, and I'll also do a little almond milk or water, and the chia seed and ground flaxseed. Whip that all up, and then I've got this yummy concoction. It's so, so good. And oftentimes too, I'll take it on the go. So I'll put it in a container like this that has a lid, and then head on out the door, and then I'll drink it throughout the day. Chia seed pudding. All right, chia seeds. So these are also considered a superfood. Chia seeds. So, okay, what goes into making chia seed pudding? It's so yummy. All right, so you would do 3 cups of unsweetened almond milk right here. And then 1/2 cup of chia seeds. You whisk it, and you must whisk it. I tried once to be like, do you really have to whisk it? And then I put it in the refrigerator overnight, and when I woke up in the morning, I was like, yes, you really do have to whisk it. Okay, so don't try the shortcut. It's not that hard. Whisking, putting these together, whisking, and then I whisk, I let it sit for 10 minutes, whisk again, and then chill it. Okay, and then chilling it, you know, you can do it for a few hours. I like to do it overnight, and then you can top it with fruit. I like cut up mango is really nice, nuts and seeds. Okay, chia seed pudding is so yummy. I think it's kind of an acquired texture, but it's really, really good. Gluten-free steel cut oats. Avocado toast on grain-free crackers. All right, so avocado toast, you may be like, what goes into that? Cut up your avocado, mash it, put it on the toast, and then you can top it with fun things like sriracha sauce or with sesame seeds. You know, so you can be quite playful with it. You've probably seen, like if you Google or look on Pinterest, there's so many beautiful images of ways to make avocado toast. Protein balls are really yummy. You can get tons of recipes online. We like one that has dates and peanut butter, and peanut butter is such a wonderful source of protein, and it's a really great sweet treat, and it's only like avoid jiffy, right? Or things that are coated and covered in sugar. This in turn is just peanuts. So peanut butter, getting the all natural kind, is really good. I like Crazy Richard's, and then this is a Trader Joe's brand, which is also really yummy. It's actually quite salty. It's nice. But yeah, Google protein balls, because those are really nice. You can have them as treats. You can have them as breakfast. Now, a breakfast bowl. And a breakfast bowl is basically a smoothie that we talked about, but in a bowl form. And you can also coat it with unsweetened coconut flakes, hemp seeds, and fresh fruit. Okay, muesli is another great option. And then last but not least is the green juice. In green juice, you typically need a juicer. You can make green juice with a blender, and you can find out how to do that online. Just Google green juice with blender. And it takes a little bit more work. And juicing is a little bit more work, but it's so good. And you know, my favorite things are apple, cucumber, celery, spinach, kale, ginger is so nice, lemon. So it's a really yummy way to get a lot of nutrients into your system. Okay, so let's talk lunch. Okay, lunch, and mixed green salad. You know those salads that come in bags? They're so good. And I encourage you to pick some of those up because they're just nice to have around for a nice little treat. Steamed veggies over brown rice, which I mentioned. Quinoa salad, lots of recipes online and ways to incorporate this, again, superfood. Veggie soup. So I do love me some veggie soup. There's Amy's has this wonderful no chicken noodle soup, which is really good. But there's so many great vegetable soups out there, and of course you can make your own. So making wraps with nori paper, and that's like seaweed paper, or making wraps also with the leaves, like collard green leaves. That's a really nice way. Like sometimes if you go to a fancy vegan or a veg spot, you can get tacos, but you get it, they come out in collard green shells. So tasty. A little tricky to eat, but really good. So you could fill that with quinoa. You could fill that with, you know, a veggie salad mix. You could add a little hummus, you know, so it's a really tasty treat. Sweet potato, which I mentioned. Roasted cauliflower. Okay, this is also my new favorite thing. It's all about the buffalo wing sauce though, which is probably not on the detox, but I won't tell. So roasted cauliflower, get ahead of it, pick it apart, and then you want to toss it in olive oil, and then you put it in the oven, and then whenever it comes out, a little bit crispy. So, you know, typically roast for about 40 minutes on 425. And whenever it comes out, then I add the buffalo wing sauce and then toss it. Or I just have the buffalo wing sauce to the side and then dip it in because I like a lot of buffalo wing sauce with it. It's so good. I'm salivating just talking about it. I kind of lived on roasted cauliflower for a week or two, and it's so good. Of course, there's veggie stir fry, and then tomatoes and avocado and black beans with corn tortillas. Okay, so those are just some options for you. And really, lunch and dinner, same thing. So the same type sort of foods. I also wanted to mention, these are really great. The edamame, so they come in these little, again, microwavable bags. And I know that's not ideal, you know, because it's all this packaging and what have you. But for me, I really look for ease because I'm just, again, if it's not easy, I won't do it in the kitchen. And so these are really great because you just pop them in the microwave and they're so tasty. And oftentimes they'll come with little packets of sea salt that you then sprinkle on top. And this is a really good source of protein. Yay, edamame. So snacks, you're maybe like, well, what do I snack on? Okay, so there's kale chips, protein balls, apple, and peanut butter. That tends to be kind of like a great go-to for me. And again, okay, here, like where do we get our protein? So let me just give you a list of where you're getting protein in this detox. Beans, so all varieties, cooked or canned. Hummus, oh, and bean soups are really good. I was just recently home in Oklahoma and we had like this 12 bean soup. It was so yummy and so filling. So, you know, there's so many great bean options. Of course, I've just mentioned the black beans, but so many. My partner just made a yummy salad and he put garbanzo beans in it, right? So you can do all sorts of things. And garbanzo beans, you know, chickpeas, really nice when they're roasted. Hummus, protein. Almonds, cashews, flaxseed, hazelnuts, pine nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, walnuts, edamame, lentils, nutritional yeast, nut milks, oats, wild rice, chia seeds, nuts, nut butters, and others. Fruits and veggies. All right, so protein, let's just know that you're going to get it if you are eating all of these plant-based foods. It's not a problem. And just Google if you're curious and you want to learn more about that. But that tends to be people's like, oh, I just need protein. Yeah, you're going to get protein. I promise you, if you are eating well with this and varied, right? So meaning you're not just living on brown rice and a little bit of broccoli and a lot of this, okay? But even this, I think, it's less than 1 gram of protein. So this doesn't have a ton of protein in it. But this is such a great little addition to add a bit more flavor to things. I really, really like this. Okay, so let's talk, oh, and then with veggies too, just wanted to mention, okay, broccoli, spinach, asparagus, artichokes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. Okay, and then the last thing I want to mention before I give my final tips and we close is the practices to include. Okay, so it's not just about what we eat, even though that's very important, and not even just about what we drink, because if you look on your basic plan, 8 ounces of warm water with lemon and 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed is encouraged in the morning. Now, another option is to just simply do your detox tea, but if you can do the lemon and hot water in the morning, it's a really great addition. But if adding that flaxseed, I must say I don't love that as much, but it is typically part of a detox. But you know, even if you're just doing the lemon and water, I think that's a wonderful start. But you could try the ground flaxseed because you may like it. So, but in addition to that, some of the practices. Okay, this is a dry skin brush, and the idea with the dry skin brush is you brush toward the heart, right? So all of your limbs, and just kind of brushing up everywhere toward the heart. And the great thing is you're getting rid of all that kind of dead skin. This is great just to have in your bathroom so that you can easily remember to grab it. The other thing that I love is tongue scraping. So here's a tongue scraper. Just stick out your tongue, scrape it, and I'm always surprised with like what's on there. And so you may find this to be quite helpful. I've been doing this regularly for probably 15 years, and if I don't have my tongue, I even have a travel tongue scraper, and if I don't have it, then I just feel like the day is ruined. All right, so tongue scraper is so helpful. The other thing that I want you to do throughout this process is to do some journal writing. So journal writing is an incredibly therapeutic tool. It's a free tool. You just need pen and paper or your computer, and the idea behind it is how can we process what's coming up for us? Wow, like it was really hard to go to that event and not eat the X crab cake or whatever, right? And instead though, I chose Y, you know, maybe like veggies and hummus, and I actually felt really good. Or it was really hard and I'm still struggling from it. Whatever it might be. So to keep a journal of writing about your feelings, what do you need, want, and feel can be a really helpful tool. The other thing is exercise. So you want to move a lot during this process because again, we want things to flow out. So whether that's yoga, ballet, walking, running, cycling. Meditation, so if you can, and I'll have some tips, of course, for this that's going to be dripping through your inbox over this next week for those of you who are signed up. And again, you have to sign up by midnight tonight in order to be part of this detox, just so that we don't have people dropping in midway. So I want to make sure that, you know, everyone's kind of on the same path starting tomorrow. But meditation, I'll give some tips on that. But the idea with meditation is how do we just allow ourselves to just calm, sit, and be. And then the last thing is a warm bath, which is what I just did before this event. Warm baths are amazing, especially this time of the year, at least in DC, we're transitioning right from summer to it's quite chilly right now. And so bones are cold, like my fingers are cold. You know, I'm noticing that, you know, my body's adjusting with, you know, kind of catching a tiny bit of a cold just with this shift in temperature. And so warm baths are so therapeutic, especially if you use a little bit of Epsom salt. All right, so that's kind of the self-care piece in a nutshell. So let me just go over my top 10 tips with you, and then we'll see if you have any questions. And if you do, please feel free to just note those over in the chat box of sorts, and we'll be sure to answer those. And if for any reason you're not here live and you have a question after, go ahead and put that in, and I will circle back and see if I can get that answered for you. So top 10 tips. And this is also on KimberlyWilson.com/detox, right? So you can download a PDF with my top tips. Number 1, remove temptation. So get those Oreos out of the house. Get things out of the house where you know you're going to go to. Maybe it's every night, it's like potato chips, whatever it is, just get those out. Number 2, review the basic food plan and pick up these staples, things like the brown rice, the fresh or frozen veggies, kale, spinach, frozen fruit, avocados, chia seed, ground flaxseed, lemon, raw nuts, veggie stock for soups. So if you wanted to make your own veggie soup, herbal tea, nut butters, grain-free whole grains, gluten-free whole grains, veggie soup, and hummus. Okay, so those to me are like the staples that are really helpful to have for a detox, and hopefully you can just pick those up tonight if you haven't grabbed them yet. Number 3 is start weaning off sugar, alcohol, caffeine. Number 4, start upgrading your eating to include 5 servings of fruit and veggies each day. The good news is you can get these in the morning simply in a smoothie or a smoothie bowl. So don't worry that it's like this overwhelming kind of change in your diet. You can get so much of this in just by drinking it. Number 5, gather and schedule your self-care, right? The journaling, the tongue scraping, the bath supplies, the dry skin brush, exercise, massage. Massage is also another piece. So that's another piece of self-care if possible to get that. And what might be nice is to think about doing it next Saturday after you've gotten through the 7 days of detox as your reward. Number 6, schedule time for food shopping and prep before Saturday. Number 7, eat plenty of healthy fats to cut cravings. So whenever we start craving, sometimes A, we're thirsty, or B, it's that we need some good fat, right? So ways to get good fats are nuts and seeds, avocados, edamame, so yummy, and those can help reduce cravings and keep your energy up. Number 8, support your body as it releases toxins. So drinking all of your water, lots of water, 8 ounces, 8 ounces, right? So 64 ounces throughout the day if possible. And I just will always have my water bottle with me to make sure I'm always staying hydrated. Number 9, believe you can do it and enlist the support of others. So if you live with someone else, to, ask them to kind of help keep you accountable. Whenever we have accountability buddies of sorts, it makes us 243% more likely to follow through with something. So if you can let one person know you're doing this and ask them to kind of check in on you, it can be super helpful. Or even better, ask them to join along. And then number 10, value progress over perfection. So this is something I mentioned at the very beginning. So important to just simply know that you attempting this in any capacity is a wonderful start, and it's going to raise awareness. It's going to be better for you, your health, the animals, and the planet. And if you're like, what do you mean by that? Just Google, because there's so much great data out there. And I'll just give an example, because I like to mention this. So going meatless, even once a week, lessens risk of chronic conditions such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity. It also reduces our carbon footprint and saves 28 land animals and 175 aquatic animals per year. Yep, just by doing this 1 day a week. So again, this is good for us, the animals, and the environment. And you can learn a lot more about the impact of animal agriculture on the environment and on our health. All right, so and of course on the animals. Thank you so much for being here. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop in and let me know, or just drop me an email, Kimberly@KimberlyWilson.com. So excited to support you through this. And if you're free tomorrow, join us for the Softening into Fall virtual retreat. So 3 hours of seated yoga, art journaling, and mindfulness as we launch into our detox. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful day.